Hey everyone, what is going on? So we are going to discuss counting in Pokemon Go, but also in the Sinister Cup. I know I did a video on this before, but I wanted to talk about the Sinister Cup meta. And first and foremost, before I get started, I want to give a huge shout out to Jay Devon for making this amazing chart. I will leave a link in the description down below for his Twitter account as well as his YouTube channel. So definitely go ahead and subscribe to him and follow him on Twitter because he makes these charts every month, basically, for these Pokemon. It's just so easy to get acquainted with these Pokemon and how many moves it takes to get to a specific charge move. So what is counting? So counting is basically counting fast moves to know how long, or to know when they arrive at their charge move. For example, if we take a look at Poliwrath, if the Poliwrath has Bubble, it's going to take 4 bubbles to get the Power Up Punch. So you know that they're ready to hit you with a Power Up Punch, so you could either switch in a different Pokemon to try and catch the move, or you can not shield if you know it's going to be Power Up Punch if they didn't charge up any extra energy. So something like that. So it's always good to familiarize yourself with these Pokemon and all of these moves, even if they're not necessarily the most meta dominant. I mean, obviously the meta Pokemon, like in this case Poliwrath and Steelix and Dusclops and other Pokemon like that, are best to get acquainted with, but other Pokemon that might not be super common, like maybe Toxicroak, good to know as well, you know, so just in case you encounter some of those Pokemon, you'll know which moves they have. And aside from that, it's also good to be aware of what move your opponent has. So for example, if we take a look at Steelix, its fast moves are Dragon Tail and Thunderfang. Those are the 2 moves that you're going to see on a Steelix. I mean, it also has, I think, Iron Tail, but you're not going to see Iron Tail. So you have to identify which one your opponent has. So right away, if you could tell they have Thunderfang, you'll start counting the Thunderfangs, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at all of these moves on Jay Devon's list. You know, obviously there's other Pokemon like Ferrothorn isn't on this list that you might see as well, but this is just a standard list of some of the more popular Pokemon, as well as maybe not the most common, but still Pokemon that you will probably see or that you could see. So if we take a look at Poliwrath, Poliwrath's fast moves are Bubble and Mudshot. Now Mudshot is a legacy move set, so you know, you might see it, you might not. But first and foremost, it's, as I said, good to identify what they have. So if they have Bubble, it's going to take 4 bubbles to get to Power Up Punch, as well as Mudshot, so it's going to take 4 for each. And if we take a look at Ice Punch, which is another popular move on Poliwrath, it's going to take 4 bubbles and 5 Mudshots. Dynamic Punch will take 5 bubbles and 6 Mudshots, and for Hydro Pump, it will take 7 bubbles and 9 Mudshots for Hydro Pump. So, which fast moves are they going to have? It's kind of hard to say. I mean, Power Up Punch used to be popular in Poliwrath before the nerf. So right now, I mean, I've seen Ice Punch and Dynamic Punch. I've seen Dynamic Punch and Hydro Pump. I've still seen Power Up Punch and Hydro Pump. So it's good to know. I mean, maybe you'll get a general idea in game 1 of what moveset it has. If it hits you with a Hydro Pump, obviously you know it has Hydro Pump. So just start counting the moves. So 1 bubble, 2 bubble, 3 bubble, etc. Same with Mudshot, and you should get to know your opponent's Poliwrath. So we're going to move on to Haunter with Shadow Claw as the fast move. That's the fast move you will see on Haunter. Now Haunter is interesting because, first of all, it's really squishy, it's really frail, but it's a really good Pokemon. So it takes 5 Shadow Claws to get the Shadow Punch, which Shadow Punch isn't really a super strong move, but it's still a good move, and Haunter has a high attack stat, so it'll be doing a lot of damage. Dark Pulse takes 7 Shadow Claws, and it also takes 7 Shadow Claws to get the Shadow Ball. Now, I want to go as far to say that you'll probably see Shadow Ball on Haunter if you go up against the Haunter, but the thing is, Shadow Ball is a legacy moveset, so you might not see Shadow Ball for that reason, and I don't think I would run Haunter if I didn't have a legacy one, so that's why I'm assuming you probably would see Shadow Ball, but some people still might run Haunter with Dark Pulse, and Dark Pulse is still really good on Haunter, so it's hard to say. I would probably assume that Shadow Ball is coming, but it could be Dark Pulse as well, but again, they both take 7 to get to, and it only takes 5 Shadow Claws to get to Shadow Punch, so Haunter is going to be a common one. So we're going to move on to Gallade. So Gallade has Confusion as a fast move, and then it takes 3 Confusions to get to Leaf Blade and 5 Confusions to get to Close Combat. So if you do see a Gallade, definitely going to be the moveset that you probably see, Leaf Blade and Close Combat. Very easy to remember. I mean, 5 Confusions to Close Combat, that's crazy. That's really powerful. So definitely have to watch out for that. So we're going to move on to Claydol. So Claydol is another one that has Confusion, but it has basically all of its charge moves are good. So it takes 5 Confusions to get to Earth Power, 5 to get to Gyro Ball, 5 to get to Psychic, and 6 to get to Earthquake. I think, like, I currently have Earth Power and Psychic on mine, but the other 2 are good as well. And because they all take 5 to get to, it's kind of easy to count, but at the same time, you might not be too sure which move they're going to be going for. I guess whatever you're weak to, if you have a Pokemon weak to ground, and they use a charge move after 5 Confusions, I would probably assume it was Earth Power, excuse me. But, yeah, really hard to say. I think Claydol is going to be a popular one in this meta, so definitely a Pokemon you do have to watch out for, and it's very important to memorize these moves. I think the most common moveset will be Earth Power and Psychic, but I also have seen Earth Power and Earthquake, and I saw Gyro Ball once, so it's kind of difficult to say which moveset they will have, but I'm leaning towards Earth Power and Psychic. But again, they all take 5 Confusions to get to, besides Earthquake, which takes 6. So we're going to move on to Dusclops. Now, Dusclops as the fast move has Feint Attack and Hex. I like Hex because it's a lot faster to get to the charge moves, but Feint Attack is a solid option. So again, identify which fast move they have. So it takes 6 Feint Attack to get the Shadow Punch, 7 for Fire Punch, and then for Hex it takes 4 of each. So 4 Hex to get the Shadow Punch, 4 Hex to get the Fire Punch. Really strong. Fire Punch doesn't do a whole lot, even to something that's super effective against, like Steelix, but it adds up and it charges super fast. So definitely a solid Pokemon. Very bulky. You will see Dusclops on my team as well, probably. So we're moving on to Girafarig. It has Confusion with Thunderbolt and Psychic. They both take 5 to get to. So definitely an interesting Pokemon. It does resist those ghost types pretty well, so you might see that as well. So we're going to move on to Lugia. So Lugia as the fast moves will either have Dragon Tail or Extra Sensory. Now, I think Dragon Tail is probably more popular. Let me know what you guys think. I'm actually not too sure. I had problems when I was going up against Lugia in my last video, which is why I decided to make this video. But, yeah, they both take 5 to get to Sky Attack and 8 to get to Hydro Pump, and those are the fast moves you will see, or the charge moves, I should say. And, let me know what fast move you would run on Lugia. Lugia is another one I plan on trying out as well. I do have one for the Great League, I just haven't used it in a video yet, and I didn't purchase a secondary move yet, but I will do that. But Lugia, I do think, is a Pokemon you might see. You definitely want to get familiar with this one. A lot of you might already be familiar with it. It's just I had trouble with it. So, you know. But yeah, 5 Sky Attack, 8 Hydro Pump. Definitely remember that. So we're going to move on to a Pokemon that I'm definitely going to be using for a video. It got better with the new update, in my opinion. But let's see. It could have Counter or Psycho Cut. Now, I currently have Counter in mind. Let me know which one you like more. But Counter does a lot of damage. Psycho Cut charges up a little bit faster, so it's kind of hard to say. But if yours has Power Up Punch, takes 5 counters to get to it, 4 Psycho Cut. Ice Punch takes 6 counters, 5 Psycho Cut. Dynamic Punch takes 8 counters and 6 Psycho Cut. And then Psychic will take 8 counters and 7 Psycho Cuts. So yeah, I mean, this is another Pokemon that all these moves can be really good. I actually recently switched my Ice Punch to Psychic, so I currently have Power Up Punch and Psychic. But Dynamic Punch, similar to Poliwrath, could be really good. So you could definitely see it on this Pokemon. You know, you could see Dynamic Punch. You could see Dynamic Punch and Ice Punch, or Psychic and Dynamic Punch. You know, you might not see that Power Up Punch. Power Up Punch, I feel like, is probably a little bit better on this Pokemon than Poliwrath, because boosting up those already powerful counters are going to be really good. So it's hard to say. I mean, any of these moves you could see. So we're going to move on to Drifblim. Love this Pokemon. Fast move is Hex. Takes 4 Hex to get the Ominous Wind, 5 to get the Shadow Ball. Charges super fast. Solid Pokemon. So we're going to move on to Cresselia. So it has Confusion, another Pokemon I haven't battled against too much and I don't have for the Great League, so I need to familiarize myself with this a little bit more. But if it has Confusion, it'll take 5 Confusions for Aurora Beam, and 6 for Moonblast and Future Sight. So all these moves are pretty good. I think Aurora Beam and Future Sight probably the way to go, but Moonblast actually is good as well, so it's really hard to say. I'm not really too sure. Let me know what moveset you would run on Cresselia. So one of my favorites with the new update that we got is Alolan Raichu with Thunder Shock as a fast move. Now it takes 5 to get the Thunder Punch, 6 for Wild Charge and Grass Knot, and 7 for Psychic. All of these moves are good. I currently have Wild Charge and Grass Knot on mine, but I really like Thunder Punch and Wild Charge because you could bluff with that Thunder Punch. But yeah, I mean, all these moves can definitely be really good. Even Psychic takes 7 Thunder Shocks to get the Psychic. Absolutely insane. It's same attack bonus. I mean, it's really powerful. Grass Knot has good coverage, so Alolan Raichu is looking really good, although it is weak to Ghost Pokemon as well as Mawaile's Bite, so you do have to watch out for that. But I do think it might be a solid contender. So we're going to move on to Alolan Marowak with its fast moves, Hex and Fire Spin. Now, Hex charges up a little bit faster than Fire Spin. Now, for Bone Club, they both take 4 to get to, but for Shadow Ball, Hex takes 5 and Fire Spin takes 6. Now, I did switch mine to Fire Spin. I do like Fire Spin for the coverage, and I have another Hex user, so I do like the Fire Spin on Alolan Marowak. It definitely covers Steelix really nicely. But Hex is good as well. Hex charges up fast. Fire Spin is fast as well. So you can decide, but as I said, identify what move your opponent has on their Alolan Marowak, because I think this will be a really popular Pokemon in this Sinister Cup. So moving on to Toxicroak. Haven't actually seen this one yet in the meta. I haven't faced it. I mean, I'm familiar with it from past cups, but I haven't seen it in the Sinister Cup. But counter, it takes 6 counters to get the Mud Bomb and 8 to get to Sludge Bomb. So we're going to move on to Primeape. Primeape has counter. It takes 5 to get to Cross Chop, 6 to get to Night Slash. Now, Cross Chop is unfortunately a legacy moveset. I do not have it, so I can't use Primeape. So, kind of familiar with this one just because I've battled with it. I know I battled Trexler with it, and, you know, I think I battled somebody else that had a Primeape. Yeah, I know I did. So, this is probably a Pokemon you'll see if your opponent is lucky enough to have it, but I don't know. Really good Pokemon, charges up super fast, and it has that good coverage, Night Slash, for those Ghost and Psychic types. So moving on to Gardevoir, this could be a menace. It has Charm, which it takes 9 Charm to get to Synchronoise and 10 to get to Shadow Ball, so I think Shadow Ball will be on everybody's Gardevoir, and then for the second move, I guess Synchronoise. But yeah, definitely familiarize yourself with Gardevoir as well, because generally speaking, I admit it, I haven't really counted Charm in the past on any Pokemon just because it does take a little bit to get to, and Charm is just doing so much damage to begin with. I'm not really even concerned with the charge moves, to be honest with you. I'm more concerned with the Charm damage itself. So, but we have good Steel types in this format. Speaking of good Steel types, we have Steelix, which is going to be a big contender. It does either have Dragon Tail or Thunder Fang, so again, identify which one your opponent has. So Dragon Tail takes 5 to get to Crunch and 7 to get to Earthquake, and Thunder Fang will take 9 to get to Crunch and 13 to get to Earthquake. Now, both of these moves are good. I personally prefer Dragon Tail, as I've mentioned in the past, because it's faster to charge up. Thunder Fang has good coverage against Poliwrath, against Drifblim, but personally, I like Dragon Tail. So again, I identify, study this list. I'm going to move on to Bastiodon. 7 Smackdowns for Flamethrower and Stone Edge, so another popular Pokemon. Next up, we have Empoleon, so it takes 9 Waterfalls to get the Flash Cannon and 10 for Hydro Pump. I use this quite a bit before the change, but now since we got the update, I'm not really using this one too much. Waterfall does a lot of damage though. You do have to watch out for those fighting types because it is Steel, so it is weak to that obviously, but it could definitely come in handy depending on the matchup. Waterfall, as I said, powerful move. Next up, a Pokemon that will probably be on everyone's team, or most people's teams. We have Mawile. Takes 18 Bite to get the Power Up Punch and 30 to get the Play Rough, so you do have to watch out. I know Bite is difficult to count. It's difficult for me to count, but you do have to try and count it as well as you can, because if they have enough for Play Rough, and you assume it's a power-up punch, it could knock out your fighting Pokemon in one hit like Poliwrath, and it will, so you do have to be careful of that. But if it's only like 18 or 20 or 22, 23, 24, whatever it happens to be, bites, it's going to be power-up punch. So you can kind of estimate Mawile in a way, if you want to, but definitely try and count this as best as you can, but I think a lot of people will probably go for the power-up punch just to boost the bite over Play Rough, but it is an option for you. And then last on this list will be Probopass. Spark takes 6 Sparks to get to Rock Slide and 7 for Thunderbolt. So another Pokemon you could probably see. I know King used it in his tournament, I believe it was, or was it a practice game? I think it was a tournament. Probopass is definitely a solid Pokemon. So yeah, take a look at this list. Memorize it, study it, pretend you have an exam coming up, right? Get familiar with it. Again, huge shout out to Jay Devon. Links in the description down below. Definitely want to follow him. He's the creator of #Badlist. One of my favorite content creators. Love watching his videos. I battle him on stream all the time when he's live streaming. So you definitely have to check out Jay Devon. If you want to follow him on Twitter, he'll make these charts without waiting for a video from me. You could get the charts firsthand by yourself. A lot of you probably know him, but just giving him a shout out anyway, just because I'm using his amazing charts and I absolutely love them and I appreciate it so much. And yeah, that will be it for this video, guys. And I will see you in the next one where we have some PvP battles. Have a good day. Bye.